It looked like any other grilled chicken breast glazed, juicy, sitting atop a bed of kale and quinoa at a trendy LA eatery. But within hours, a 24-year-old fitness influencer with over 600,000 Instagram followers was in the emergency room hallucinating, convulsing, and on the edge of organ failure. The lab results: a rare strain of Clostridium perfringens, linked to undercooked poultry. And the shocking part: that wasn't even the worst chicken scandal of the year. 1. Chipotle's chicken crisis, the case that went national. It was December 2015 when over 500 people across 10 states fell violently ill after eating at Chipotle. Initially, the culprit was thought to be their famous barbacoa or carnitas, but after weeks of CDC investigation, all signs pointed to the chicken. Specifically, undercooked grilled chicken that had been prepped in a Boston location. The pathogen, norovirus, highly contagious and potentially deadly to young children and the elderly. Chipotle's stock tanked by more than 40% in the aftermath, and founder Steve Ells was hauled in front of Congress. The incident wasn't just a PR nightmare, it was a revelation. Even at a fresh and transparent chain, shortcuts in chicken prep were endangering lives. What most people don't know is that Chipotle's cook-to-temperature standards were self-regulated. In the rush to serve lines of customers, some employees admitted they eyeballed doneness. The fallout was so severe, the company had to temporarily shut down over 40 restaurants and launch a full food safety overhaul. Yet to this day, many former employees have gone on record stating that the pressure to meet prep quotas still compromises cooking times, especially for grilled chicken, which remains one of their most popular proteins. Long after the 2015 crisis faded from headlines, Chipotle continues to battle serious internal issues, especially around chicken preparation. In anonymous interviews posted to Reddit's r/Kitchen Confidential, dozens of current and former employees described chaotic conditions behind the prep line. One former line cook wrote, "The chicken comes in bags and gets grilled in batches. We're supposed to temp every piece, but when it's busy, we toss it on the hot table if it looks cooked." Another insider alleged that managers frequently override the system. If we're running low, some GMs literally tell you to skip the thermometer. You just press the button on the iPad that says 165 degrees Fahrenheit. In 2022, an internal audit from a third-party food safety firm showed that over 17% of randomly inspected locations were failing to consistently meet USDA-recommended poultry temperatures. One hidden factor: Chipotle's fresh prep system, designed to offer freshly grilled chicken on demand, actually increases the margin for error. Chicken is often transferred from the grill to holding trays before it has fully reached temperature. In a rush, those few degrees could mean the difference between safe and seriously sick. Yet the real shock: there's no independent oversight of these practices. Chipotle's food safety program is self-monitored and open secret that even shareholders have raised red flags about in recent meetings. 2. Buffalo Wild Wings. When chicken isn't chicken, Buffalo Wild Wings is a sports bar staple: beer, fries, flats, and drums. But in 2023, the chain was hit with a class-action lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the food industry. Filed in Illinois federal court, the lawsuit claimed that Buffalo Wild Wings' boneless wings were in fact nothing more than glorified chicken nuggets, completely unrelated to actual wings. The suit, brought by Ayman Halim, alleged false advertising and consumer deception. Boneless wings are not wings at all, the complaint read. They are slices of chicken breast meat, deep-fried and sauced to resemble traditional wings. While this may seem like a semantic debate, here's the kicker: real wings contain connective tissue and dark meat, giving them a specific nutritional profile. Boneless version: highly processed, mechanically separated chicken, often loaded with preservatives and binding agents. Worse still, a 2022 Consumer Reports investigation revealed that some locations were serving boneless products containing up to 20% soy protein filler, not labeled on the menu, and potentially dangerous for those with allergies. Buffalo Wild Wings may be a wing lover's paradise, but behind the scenes, their chicken operations are anything but clean-cut. According to a 2021 investigation by Food Safety News, the chain sources a significant portion of its chicken from mega farms in Mississippi and Arkansas, two regions that have been repeatedly cited for violations including overcrowding, animal cruelty, and unsanitary conditions. One undercover video captured by the group Compassion Over Killing showed thousands of birds stuffed into cages, some living in inches of their own waste. Several clips showed dead birds left in the feeding troughs where live chickens continued to eat. But here's the catch: much of this chicken still ends up on your plate. Buffalo Wild Wings uses multiple suppliers and contracts out their processing to third parties. This means there's little transparency in how the chickens are raised, slaughtered, and frozen before arriving at the restaurant. And the legal case around boneless wings. That lawsuit prompted further scrutiny of the ingredients themselves. One food chemist, speaking to Vice, explained that many boneless products are restructured meat, a process involving ground chicken held together with binders like sodium phosphate and modified cornstarch. It's cheap, uniform, and easy to mass produce. But it's far from what most people think they're eating. 3. Popeyes viral chicken sandwich, real-life salmonella. In 2019, the Popeyes chicken sandwich became a national obsession. Fights broke out. Lines wrapped around city blocks. One man in Maryland was even fatally stabbed over a sandwich dispute. But behind the media frenzy, a more dangerous epidemic was quietly brewing. During a 6-month period following the launch, doctors across 6 states reported a spike in salmonella cases linked to undercooked chicken from multiple Popeyes locations. The CDC flagged the sandwich as a potential source, citing poor training during the rush of new hires, many of whom were brought in during the viral boom without proper food safety education. A whistleblower from a location in Atlanta described the chaos. "We were pumping out over 1,000 sandwiches a day. Managers told us to just get them done, no thermometers, no time to check doneness." Popeyes corporate denied liability, but internal documents leaked to BuzzFeed News in 2020 showed that they had quietly issued new fryers and retraining protocols to over 700 stores. The timing? Just weeks after the outbreak reports surfaced. Behind every viral success story lies a storm, and Popeyes is no exception. During the sandwich craze of 2019 to 2020, Popeyes hired over 12,000 new employees within months, but what they didn't do was invest adequately in food safety training. A leaked internal memo obtained by Business Insider admitted that undertraining and high turnover rates were the company's biggest vulnerability. In fact, many franchisees were using temporary labor from staffing agencies where workers had no previous kitchen experience. Some were hired in the morning, working the fryer by lunchtime. This led to dozens of informal complaints filed with OSHA, many describing unsafe cooking conditions, broken fryers, and cross-contamination of raw and cooked chicken. In a more disturbing revelation, an investigative report by NBC News uncovered that Popeyes supplier contracts included loopholes that allowed the use of sub-165 degrees Fahrenheit cook range under high-volume batch processing if monitored visually. In other words, if it looked cooked, it could be served. And remember the chicken shortage that led to long waits and angry customers. That wasn't about demand alone. Internal supply chain disruptions meant many restaurants began improvising, using unvetted secondary suppliers. Several of those suppliers had already been flagged by the USDA for poor sanitation practices. 4. The Cheesecake Factory. Hidden calories, questionable chicken. You think you're playing it safe: grilled chicken, steamed vegetables, a side of brown rice. But at the Cheesecake Factory, that plate might carry more calories than a Big Mac and fries. In 2021, Men's Health placed the Cheesecake Factory at the top of its extreme eating list for the 5th time. Why? Their crispy chicken costoletta came in at a mind-boggling 2,610 calories and 89 grams of saturated fat. But even their lighter options aren't what they seem. Take the Skinnylicious grilled chicken. Sounds healthy, right? Independent lab tests conducted by Consumer Reports found that the sodium content was nearly double the listed amount, over 2,000 milligrams per serving. Worse, when tested for bacterial pathogens, several samples showed unsafe levels of Campylobacter, a dangerous bacteria that causes over 1 million illnesses annually in the U.S., and then there's the sourcing. Several investigative food bloggers discovered that the Cheesecake Factory relies heavily on frozen chicken, often imported from overseas processing plants in Thailand and Brazil, facilities that have been cited for inhumane treatment and poor sanitary conditions. It's not just about bacteria or undercooking. Sometimes it's about what's hidden in plain sight. The Cheesecake Factory's chicken dishes are notorious for calorie overloads, but they're also packed with additives that would shock the average health-conscious diner. Nutritionists analyzing the chicken Madeira and chicken Bellagio found that many servings contained over 4 teaspoons of sugar, not from dessert, but hidden in sauces and glazes. Even the grilled chicken breast used in salads, brined with sodium lactate and potassium phosphate, ingredients used to extend shelf life and mask off-putting flavors from frozen poultry. Former kitchen staff have shared that almost none of the chicken is butchered in-house. Instead, pre-marinated vacuum-packed portions are thawed overnight and grilled to order. A former sous chef told Eater, "We don't know how old the chicken is. It comes to us in plastic, already injected with brine and flavor. The marinade has a thick syrup in it that's what caramelizes on the grill. Worse, that syrup, usually made with high fructose corn syrup, isn't disclosed on the menu. And despite its upscale atmosphere, Cheesecake Factory locations often receive average to below health inspection grades. In 2023, the Beverly Hills location failed its inspection for improper cold holding of proteins and cross-contamination between poultry and shellfish." 5. Subway. What's really in that oven-roasted chicken? In 2017, the CBC Marketplace rocked the fast food world with a bombshell revelation. DNA testing of Subway's oven-roasted chicken showed that it was only 53.6% actual chicken. The rest, mostly soy and other fillers. Subway immediately denied the claim, calling the tests false and misleading. But the CBC stood by their findings, using independent food scientists at Trent University. They tested the chicken strips and oven-roasted chicken breast, and in both cases, found high levels of plant-based protein additives. Why would a chain like Subway cut chicken with soy? Profit margins. Soy is cheap, shelf-stable, and extends the volume of meat per shipment. It also helps chicken retain moisture during transport. But the health implications for customers with soy allergies or thyroid issues? Potentially serious. The story sparked international outrage, and Subway filed a defamation suit. But months later, they quietly altered their supplier relationships and updated their chicken formulas without acknowledging the original controversy. When Subway's chicken was exposed in Canada, it wasn't an isolated event. European food regulators took note, and within months, food labs in Germany and the UK began conducting their own tests on imported Subway chicken products. Several reports found that some franchises were using chopped and formed chicken that contained not only soy, but wheat gluten, tapioca starch, and pea protein isolates. These added substances aren't inherently dangerous, but when they aren't disclosed, they violate multiple international food labeling laws. In 2021, Subway quietly reworked its ingredient lists and phased out some items, like the oven-roasted chicken breast, in many global markets. But here's where it gets worse. Behind the scenes, the product was already facing serious cost-cutting pressure. According to documents leaked by a disgruntled franchisee, Subway had been gradually replacing real chicken with extended meat blends to offset inflation and rising meat prices as far back as 2014. The internal term, protein optimization. It sounds scientific, but in practice it means stretching real meat with other materials to hit price points. And when it comes to food safety, the consequences of this process can be unpredictable. Mixed protein blends are often harder to cook evenly, making them more vulnerable to bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella if not properly heated throughout. 6. Panera Bread, the clean food illusion. Panera built its entire brand on transparency. Food as it should be, the commercials said, and for a while, it seemed true to antibiotic-free chicken, no artificial preservatives, clean ingredients. But in 2023, that image began to crack. A Washington Post expose revealed that Panera's grilled chicken sandwiches were linked to a rare outbreak of Listeria monocytogenes, a dangerous bacteria that thrives in cold, wet environments, like walk-in fridges. Listeria is particularly deadly for pregnant women, the elderly, and the immunocompromised. Panera did not issue a public recall. Instead, they circulated an internal memo advising stores to discard any chicken products stored over 48 hours. The problem? Most employees never saw the memo, and dozens of locations continued serving potentially contaminated chicken. Even more concerning, leaked supplier contracts showed that while Panera claims to use clean chicken, much of it is supplied by Tyson Foods, a company repeatedly fined for violations at its Arkansas and Texas plants, including processing diseased poultry. In a class action lawsuit filed in late 2024, plaintiffs accused Panera of misleading customers about sourcing and food safety practices, citing deceptive marketing and negligence. Food safety isn't just about what's on your plate, it's about the systems behind it. The shortcuts, the secrets, the silence. And now that you know what's really going on in these 6 restaurants, will you still order the chicken? Because sometimes the most dangerous ingredient is trust.